District Board to order at 5:34 p.m. Just like to remind everybody that
Oh man,
we conduct this meeting according to the Open Records Act, and if this thing gets interrupted for anything, we have to stop the meeting. We can't proceed if it's not available to everybody. This is not going to
work. I'm going to have to change room.
Susan, I think you're on. Your mic is still hot.
Yeah.
And Bob, Deethra and Carl are on now.
Okay, very good. So we have everybody then.
Yep.
Okay, well, we're calling the meeting to order at 5:30 on April 28th. Welcome, everybody. First item of business is approval of the minutes. Has everybody had a chance to review the minutes? And does anybody have any corrections or additions to the minutes?
I'll move approval of the minutes.
Second. This is Deetra.
We have approval and second. All those in favor of the approval of the February 24th minutes. I forget, Peter, are we doing this by roll call vote or just?
I think if we get a no vote, we can do it that way.
Okay.
Otherwise, we can do it by voice.
All right. All those in favor of approving the February 24th, 2021 minutes signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Hearing no objections, the minutes are approved. Next item is the budget report. Pete?
Yes, sir. Let me get this full screen. Can you guys see the screen?
Yes.
It's not full screen for us or for me.
There is a thing on the left that if you push on the side, you can do a plus and it will increase the size of that. It's part of the WebEx program. I can't see it because of my setup.
Starting the slideshow might make it bigger for us too.
Oh, I know what it's done. It's jumped into a different. I did start it and it went to a different screen. So let me try. And you guys still can't see that, can you?
No.
All right, let me do this. Can everybody see it full screen now? Okay.
It's the opening page, the board meeting.
There you go. There we go. Okay. So I did send the actual report in the packet today. This is a summary, just like we show you every meeting. We have right now in our revenue, we are just short of of hitting our budget for the year. I would anticipate probably another 300,000 before the end of the fiscal year. So we will be well over on our revenue, probably somewhere in that 1.15 to 1.2 million. In our expenses, we are now over our budget by 128%. This is anticipated because some of the bills are coming due that we've done. The Hubbard's Lane Center resurfacing for 90-something thousand. The first installment came out on the recycling carts of 50,000. The 128,000 for the front load dumpsters for the unstaffed drop-offs came out of this budget. So, we are well above our budget, but we always knew that that would start to roll off of that rollover amount off the top. So I added here on the bottom, the rollover amount, the current revenue, the current expenses, and this gives us a balanced bottom line of $1,000,000, 148,000, $1,001,048. So is there any questions as to that? Okay, I also sent the individual of the expenses as part of the packet today. Did anybody have any question on the individual expenses?
Pete, I would just say that I never received that. I did get the minutes and the Bright Side
Yeah,
agreement, but I did not get any of this that you're talking about right now. So I
yeah.
have not had to get it.
Let me jump over real quick and pull that up. Apologize for the time.
Maybe you can just resend it after the meeting so that we can see it and have a chance to look at it.
I think it's in everybody else's packet. I think it was the email that kind of got dropped, or because that first email was so big, I had to take some of those documents off, Mary Rose. I will send it to you after the meeting. Is that okay?
Did other people get, has everybody else on the board seen this?
Everybody else did. It because your email was, it for some reason it sent it back saying that the email was too big.
I can't imagine why. Okay, I mean, we'll talk about that later.
Well, yeah, we can work that through that. If there's any other questions about that, I'd be happy to answer those. Are you guys back to the original screen
Yes.
Yes.
slideshow? Okay. If there isn't any other additional questions about that, I can, that would conclude the budget report.
I just sent that email to Mary Rose again, by the way.
Okay, Pete, moving on.
The next item is approval of the Retrack Connect expense for this year. Retrack Connect is a program that we use that it's cloud-based, and we use that for our annual solid waste reporting. All of our licensees and others report their tonnages through there. We also do our municipal collection system report through there. And I believe that I have that. Can you see this screen? It's
Yes.
Louisville Metro up here. Okay, so this is basically the program. Here is the municipal measurement system. This is something that we've done, and it's part of the grant for the carts. We give information about our municipality, the curbside program, the drop-off program, public space, and processing facility assessment. We don't do this one because that's not us. We don't have a processing facility, and we have a very little public space program other than litter baskets. But it's basically reported on the urban services district at this point because that's what the grant was a part of. On the other side of this, as far as being where people report to us, what you see here is I can go back and track every year that we've had reports. I get all of the surveys each year. I'm going to show Amy's recycling. Oh, I can't do that yet. For 2020. just an example of the, so you can see what one of these reports look like. Basically, you come in, this stuff is auto-populated for people. It gives the facility address, and then it gets into how many households served, multifamily, the tons of material and the disposal site. It gets into the what's serviced in dumpsters and where it goes. It gives the same thing for recycling and for bulky items as well. Yard waste. At the end, it gives us the required rates, variable service rates, and at the end we have a certification. So this is how we do our annual reporting, and it's a very important piece. So I'm hopeful that we can go ahead and get this expense approved tonight so that we can pay them.
This is what the licensees, Louisville Metro's licensees use to report to
Yes.
the district staff.
Yes, it's the district pays for it. None of the licensees have to pay anything. It's an annual, it's an annual subscription that we pay. This program is actually used all across the country by some states even. I would love for the state of Kentucky to begin using this because it would save us a whole lot of time. But it's an important program for us. It's been hugely beneficial. It helps us track things. It helps us calculate our diversion statistics and our recycling statistics.
I was going to ask you, have you found that it gets better reporting from the licensees as opposed to the paper?
Oh, it does. And on the not only that, I think it gives a better and more consistent definitions for people to report with. But when you get all these numbers on a piece of paper and you have to transfer them into a spreadsheet, you're going to get typos. And this has cut down on a lot of those typos. And it's also cut down on a lot of double reporting, I believe. So it has definitely made a huge difference for us.
So you need a motion to pay that annual subscription?
Yes, sir.
Make a motion that we pay the annual subscription to Retract Connect.
Motion made by Deborah.
I second.
Second by Carl. I have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion, questions? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Hearing no opposition, that is passed by the board. Next item, litter abatement budget.
Right. Well, we're kind of well into the year a little bit, but because of the, we didn't actually get this. This is through the litter abatement grant that the district applies for every year in like November 1st. We didn't get our check until January. And that amount was for $378,856. We had the Clean Collaborative coming online, and there was a lot of stuff up in the air as to what we were going to do. So we have finally got that settled. We've come up with our MOA with Brightside. So this is what that budget would be for personnel: $229,463. We've spent $41,000 and have $188,000 remaining. The stake bed is $1,992, and that will be the final expense for that because we finally got the stake bed truck that was approved for purchase, so we don't have to pay that anymore. Insurance for that truck, that will still be the same because we have it's just transferred to a different vehicle. Fleet and fuel will remain the same. Now we only have, we normally do the Kentucky DOT Expressway cleaning twice a year. But this year, as everybody knows, the interstates were not in good shape. But part of that issue was that the state did not have a contract in place for that cleaning. So that kind of delayed our January, February cleaning. So at that time, the Clean Collaborative came on board, which also was paying for an expressway cleaning. So what we've done is we've removed one of those. So now we only have one in the budget, and that will be for this fall or winter. And Clean Collaborative is picking up the other ones. So that is a good thing, and that freed up 94,000. However, it would typically be about 80. I think it's just at 79,000 for a sweep. The cost of that has went up 18% in that contract as well. So while we're only doing one, the cost actually went up per sweep. So $94,000 for one time around is what that cost is. We have an agreement, which I'm going to bring to you in just a second, with Brightside and MOA, and that's going to be for $42,000. And that pays for all of the supplies, bags, gloves, T-shirts. It pays for some litter education. So they've already overlooked this MOA and have approved of it. I just need to get your approval tonight. So we are taking, and we've relied on inmates for the longest of time. We had 2 officers that would take out inmates. And just due to the fact that with COVID, we've been without inmates for over a year. We feel like that what we should do, based upon not having to pay for the stake bed truck rental anymore, we already have that, and that we could hire 3 personnel out of there and put them to work as not as part of the Clean Collaborative, but in conjunction with the Clean Collaborative. And we can be still hitting a lot of more roads and be more consistent. With the inmate crews, it took you time to go there, get them out of jail, sign them out. You had to have them back by a certain time. So we feel like we're going to get a lot more bang for the buck with this money. So that's why the personnel expense went up, and that's the DOT Expressway sweep. That's why that budget went way up, or went down, and the personnel went up. So we're in good shape right now, litter abatement and going forward.
And this is all grant money that comes from the state litter fund.
That's correct. This is apart from the Clean Collaborative efforts that are going on with Metro government.
And you need a motion to approve
Um,
or not?
It's part of the Metro approval process. I think I would feel good if you guys would go ahead and approve it for us.
Bob, I have a question for Pete. This is
Yes.
Bob. In regards to the additional employees, are they actually litter pickers, or are they supervisors? What do they do?
They are going to be pickers. They have not been hired yet. They're in the process of being hired. It's pretty tough to get employees at the moment, but they will be actually doing picking up.
Okay, thank you.
Packer laborers is the exact title, Packer labor.
It doesn't seem like a lot of people to pick up litter.
Well, part of that 229,000 is also going towards other people on overtime to do other to continue to clean up. The actual cost for 3 is right at 150,000. And the Clean Collaborative has an additional 13 people that is a part of that cleanup, not including what we do with street sweeping and what's called alley action crews and what's called Ally. Vince might have to help me out here. What is the other one?
What, the alley action? I'm not sure which is.
Maybe that's it. Alley action, street sweeping, the clean collaborative crews.
Yeah.
Is what we have. We'll talk a little bit more about the clean collaborative and some of the metrics here in a little bit.
Did we have supervisors for the in the budget and on our payroll for the inmate crews?
We did. We had budgeted 2 enforcement officers to take those inmates out. So these are, we don't have those anymore. We just, what that cost was, we've rolled it into these individuals, which are Packer laborers now, which is a little less expensive as well. So, and just added 1. So we have 3. We would add, I mean, we have plenty of money in that personnel budget, but the only reason we have that much money in our personnel budget is because we're only doing 1 litter sweep along the expressways. I wouldn't want to add a bunch of people and then try to do 2 of them next year and put ourselves in a bind. So I think sticking with 3 is the way to go.
And so do we still have a supervisor then, or?
Yes, we'll provide a supervisor to your point, Bob. It'll probably come from the division, where they will be working. They'll be up under one of the supervisors. We have a supervisor that works in the street sweeping area, in the USD that can monitor them. Then we have a supervisor just for the clean collaboratives. So we got plenty of supervisors to make sure that they will be, supervised during this process. And I'll be honest with you, this is 3, that's 15. We probably need about 8 more people, plus another supervisor. That's what it's going to come down to. But we're trying to get everything we can right now in this budget in order to make a difference that helps us evaluate. And we already guesstimate we probably need another 4 or 5 crews when it's all said and done to really hit it on a regular basis. But they will be, these 3 positions will be used in certain areas, and also to do complaints, because we get a lot of complaints. And so we got to have what we call a complaint crew that can hit these complaints, litter complaints, and still do routes at the same time. So it's a combination of both. And this staffing will help us definitely do the complaints. Like 4 days they'll do routes, and then on Friday this will be our complaint crew. So that's what we're looking at operationally, and that's why we're starting out with 3. But I guarantee you that number will grow as we assess this and get the whole city done. And then I'm looking at the division add more as well, so we can have more people constantly picking up litter all over our city, all over Jefferson County.
Any additional questions from board members?
Yeah, Bob, I'm not for sure if this is the same area in regards to litter abatement, but I remember that I think it was Pete, maybe a month or so ago, sent out a letter to some of the Jefferson County hauler service providers about litter and so forth. And it sounded like it was saying there was more complaints or more issues. With the idea that, we're not using as many people from the jails and so forth. Does it continue to have a problem in regards to what you would consider as an issue for the haulers in Jefferson County?
Well, we did send out a letter to all the waste haulers, asking them to make sure that they contain their load, cover their loads. The reason that we sent that, Bob, was we had a lot of complaints, particularly from some Metro Council people, saying that they felt like that, well, they said that, hey, I have followed people and I see the stuff coming off of these garbage trucks all the time. And this is particularly on the Gene Schneider and the Waterson Expressway, where we've been getting the complaints. The push for cleanliness right now, those complaints from Metro Council people and others is what made us send out that letter just to notify all the waste haulers that, hey, please check your vehicle and your equipment to make sure it's operating properly and ensure that your staff are, covering their loads when they're going down the road.
In a recent meeting, Pete, in regards to the Kentucky chapter of NWRA, that issue came up. And of course, there was concerns because everyone feels like you're doing a good job in regards to covering, open top containers and so forth. So if you continue to have problems, or if you hear more issues or more complaints, if you would let us know, we would surely put the word out and work with you in order to make sure that we're doing our fair share.
I appreciate it. And just remember, there's over 40 individual waste haulers in Jefferson County, aside from the major curbside haulers. And a lot of this comes from the roll-off dumpsters that are out there.
I would also would be remiss into saying that there are a lot more small contractors that are using pickup trucks and trailers in order to pick up construction and demolition debris and so forth. And I can tell you our situation on the other side of the river, that is a major problem for litter and large items because those aren't tarped right and they surely are tied down enough. So that I would consider as another big problem in regards to litter, especially if you're going up and down Gene Snyder or, a highway where you're going on top speeds of 50, 60 miles an hour.
Agree.
If there's no other questions or comments, can we have a motion to approve?
I'll move approval.
Is that Mary Rose?
Yes, it is. Sorry.
That's all right. Mary Rose moves approval
I'll second.
and Deethra seconds. Any other, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
Now, what are we
Okay.
approving, Bob? What exactly are we approving?
We're approving this allocation within the grant money that we get from the state. We're approving this allocation for these specific purposes that Pete outlined.
To the grant that we got.
Through the grant, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Hearing no discussion, all those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. All those opposed? Hearing no opposition, that item passes. Next item.
Bob, in addition to that litter budget, the Brightside MOA was a part of this.
Oh, okay.
I just want to, I have it on the screen. It's really pretty much the same agreement as last year. It might have just been fine-tuned a little bit, and I would just ask that the board consider approval of that MOA.
This is the $42,000 share of that grant money that goes to Brightside for their part of the anti-litter campaign.
Yes, sir.
Correct?
Yes, sir.
Are there any questions of board members on exactly what Brightside does for us, with us? Okay, we would need a motion to approve this MOA with Brightside for their part of the litter abatement funds, grant funds that we just previously approved.
I make a motion to approve the amount for the Brightside participation in the litter abatement project.
We have a motion by Susan. Do we have a second?
I second it. This is Deetra Strickland.
seconded by Dietrich. We have a motion and a second. Is there any additional questions or comments from board members?
Oh, man. Well, connection.
Just a comment, the last paragraph says that that the agreement shall be from January 20, anyway, we need to take out either will or shall. I don't know which one it is, but one of those needs to go.
Oh, yeah, I see. Good catch.
We'll go ahead and make that on the agreement before we get it signed.
So what are you changing? I'm sorry.
In
The last
the very,
will and shall both in there. They need to decide it's going to be
Okay.
January 21, March of 22.
Okay.
If there are no further discussions or questions, all those in favor of this Brightside MOA signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed signify by saying no. Hearing none, that is approved. Now, next item, Pete.
the next item is the compost bin and rain barrel sales, and I'm going to turn this over to Karen.
Hello.
Hello.
I wanted to share with you all about our compost bin and rain barrel sale, which is a little bit different this year. Last year we ordered a whole bunch and we had a big event where people picked all of those up at one time. And that is shown in the top left column of what people ordered and how much ended up being spent. I will say on this whole chart, the top ones where it says geo bins, compost tumblers, and worm bins, those are actually mailed to them personally. We don't actually deal with those. But anyway, so this year we ordered another truckload. But this year, because we are having all of those pop-up drop-off events, we didn't really want to hold another big event for a pickup only. So we decided to have all of those materials stored at our office. We have kind of a garage type thing. And so that's our current inventory is listed at the bottom of what we have. And we have an online store that our vendor lets us utilize, which is very nice because we don't have to deal with money and people can buy online. And so what turned out happening though, and the reason I'm bringing this up to you all is because we're selling them a little slower than we did last year, our vendor would like us to go ahead and pay for all of them. And then as the residents buy them, then we would receive that money back, of course. So in order to do that, it's kind of a large purchase all at once, with the knowledge, of course, that we're continuing to promote our online store and promote the sale of these compost bins and rain barrels are the bulk of the cost. There's a few accessories there, but anyway, so Pete, am I correct in saying that we would like to have approval that we're still kind of working out the logistics on our end as far as how money gets moved around, but the
Is Karen frozen or am I?
Yeah, she
Okay, so yes, what we're having to do is because it was one purchase up front. At this point, we wanted to go ahead and get approval for those funds, and then the contractor, as people purchase from the store, will refund us that money. So we're basically right now asking for how much, Karen?
$22,000.
So we're asking for approval of up to $22,000 for the upfront purchase of the recycle bins or the composters and the rain barrels.
So how does this work? I'm trying. So we order what we want from the contractor and we don't pay for it then, correct? But we have all the items in inventory. And then
Right.
as someone buys them, then the contractor's paid. That's how it's worked in the past.
Yeah, last year we just sold them, a lot of them all at once, and we had not sold them in so long, you know. I think they did a sale before my time. But so we were able to have a big event and we sold most of it. Some of it was still left in our stock. So that's where on the top right, the 2021 truckload, that's like what we've already sold, and it included some from the previous truckload. What I did not realize would happen is that because we asked him if we could sell these items a little slower and have people pick them up monthly throughout the year, he came back later and said, we would like for you all to go ahead and pay for these. So it wasn't exactly what I had planned, but I'm just hoping that, knowing that, you know, we did sell a lot last year and we continue to sell them slowly. People pick them up from our office. We're using Sign Up Genius to let people choose if they want to pick it up during the week at our office or at one of the pop-up events. So that way we're kind of allowing it to move around the county to be more convenient. And so far that's working great, but yeah, now he wants us to go ahead and pay that cost. But he did say he would allow us to keep using the online store, which is good because that makes it so much easier for people to buy.
Can I ask a question, Bob?
Hmm?
Bob, may I ask a question?
Yes, go ahead.
Does he have a time limit on this online store? I mean, once he's been paid for all of this and he's just paying this online store, how long is he going to let us keep doing that?
He has told me that we could continue to have that open. I think there is a slight cost to him for the online store, but I've asked him about that. And if we need to have more of a agreement, you know, like a little bit more document agreement, we can do so. And either way, people can still buy. Like the last time when I was hired, there were leftover compost bins, and people had to pay by check if they wanted one, which worked fine. It's just the more and more we move on, you know, people get away from that. It's a lot more convenient for people to use a credit card.
Karen, so now the inventory is actually in our hands.
It is. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
At our office area.
So what he's asking, I guess, then is, since the inventory is in our hands and has been delivered,
mm-hmm.
he would like to be paid for what he has delivered to us.
Yes, and not to wait for months for us to continue to pick up items.
But he's allowing us to use his online store. And when
Correct.
somebody buys it, then it's a pass through. They buy it from him and he sends the money to us. Is that the way it's occurring?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the piece we're kind of working on behind the scenes. Amy Axon is helping me work with our office to get all the correct paperwork to set him up as a vendor so that we can exchange money like that.
Yeah, so we're dependent on him to pay us back. So it's kind of like taking credit risk of him.
I think the one thing that we have here is that even if the risk is that he doesn't pay us back the money. And I think that is, as we move along, we're going to figure that out fairly quick. The risk is fairly low. We could, at any time, just do it ourselves if we feel like that money is getting out of sorts and a little bit more risk than what we would want to take. But
and we do have the ability, people do buy recycling carts and garbage carts online. So it is possible for us to set that up. It's just, you know, it's just how much we want to do, how much work we want to do. So, but we could do that if that was a concern.
So it sounds like we are, if this everything works, we're able to take advantage of his online store without us having to set one up and run one.
Correct. And we can keep you posted on how that goes, because we are still we're not quite there yet as far as the paperwork that's involved, you know.
Well, it sounds to me like we're just paying for inventory that we already have on hand, so that's a good thing, and we should go ahead and pay that. The only question I have is this online store that we're allowed to use the smartest way to go still, now that we've paid for the inventory? And so it puts us at a little bit of risk, and we should consider setting up some kind of a way people can pay for this online, other than with a check. For sometime in the future. I mean, it doesn't have to be immediately, but I think eventually we need to be able to let people buy directly from us.
Not that it really matters a whole lot, what people have done in the past. We've had a relationship with this vendor for several years, and he has worked with us very well. He's honored everything he's done. Not that that matters the past, but you know, he's been pretty straight with us so far.
So in effect, assuming we sell all of what we have in inventory, in effect, this is a net zero effect on the budget.
Yes.
It would look to me like, based on what you sold last year, what you have in stock, and what you've sold this year, that we're going to be ahead of last year in sales if everything continues at the current pace.
Yes. That's one reason why I wanted to share how much we had sold.
Hi, we can't come to the phone right now. Please leave a message and we'll get back to you. I apologize. I'm trying to mute myself and it will not mute. I apologize for that. Okay, good. I kind of got lost there. My question.
Yeah, that's okay. I just was saying that was one reason I wanted to share how much we had sold, because, you know, it is, people are very interested in this, in these products, and it is a good price for residents to buy from, because when you purchase in bulk, of course, it's cheaper. So.
And of course, we're helping him out too, because we're the connection that allows him to sell all this stuff.
Right. He works with a lot of other counties.
It's helping, you know, our efforts in the city, but we're not gaining any income from it. No. He is. Right. Yeah.
Nope. We're just trying to get people to compost.
Right.
And are we essentially selling these at cost?
Yeah. 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 We aren't hiking up the price on, you know, he just, and I have no idea how his numbers work, but you know, what we pay for it, and then well, we didn't pay for it at all, right? Of course, the residents are just paying for it. We just got it shipped here, and we didn't pay for a shipping cost either. And we'll be promoting these at the Festival of Flowers, which I'll mention in a little bit, but that's one of our first in-person events that we're doing pretty soon, in a week or two.
Okay, well, so we need well, are there other questions of anybody on this issue? So you all are looking for a motion to spend $22,000 to pay for what we already have in inventory.
Yes.
I will make the motion that we spend the $22,000 for the things that we have in inventory, but I put a caveat and say we need to figure out how we're going to continue this, if this is going to work through the online store, in which I think that staff is already doing. It sounds like But I just think we need to, as a board, be sure that we are looking into all of our possibilities and figuring out our best possibility for our ones to get paid for this.
All right, we have a motion with some additional requirements from Mary Rose. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by, was that Deborah?
Deborah, yes.
Second by Deborah. We have a motion and a second. Is there additional discussion or questions?
There's one other question that I have.
Yeah.
Just wanted to make sure that this is coming out of the district's budget.
Yes.
Okay.
Any additional questions or comments? Okay, hearing none, all in favor of the $22,000 appropriation for this inventory signify by saying aye.
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 All of those opposed, say no. Hearing no opposition, that item passes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We have no action items on the agenda. Are we moving to old business?
Yes, sir.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, the next item was the anti-litter campaign. And since our meeting in February, after having a pretty decent discussion with Carl, we kind of met with him to kind of pick his brain a little bit. And we've kind of dropped back. And I think Carl is going to assist us a bit and work with us in sending us some outlines and some paperwork that can kind of help us organize the way that we want to go. And, you know, when it comes down to it, Carl really kind of put it in perspective for us in the fact that our mission and our vision, really, we need to get to the point where we're at a clean community, you know, instead of a one-off type of campaign, our overall goal needs to be visualized first, and then we can build our education campaign. And I think we're still in that realm and working on that. We're just not quite there yet. So we want to do a little bit more work on this before we come back. But because we had talked about it at our last meeting, I did want to let you guys know where we're at. And Carl and Karen, if you guys want to say a little bit about this, I think this is when we get done with this, we're going to have a whole lot better idea about how to attack this, and we'll be able to do a much better job in our education.
Karen or Carl, you want to add to that?
We had a great conversation with Carl, and I know we kind of haven't talked about it too much since then, but I thought our conversation went really well, and I thought he was gonna be able to help us out a lot. And just the conversation we had helped us learn a lot about what kinds of things we're looking for. So I really look forward to getting something going. I know it takes time, but I think it's important.
I was just going to add that, yeah, I thought we had a great conversation and just shared things, maybe just some fundamental concepts and elements about, you know, building the brand and the structure and things like that. And I think what we talked about was building a platform that we could work from. And I think we collectively came up with an idea about having a community with a culture for cleanliness and versus changing the mindset versus just trying to throw some money at a specific campaign that's kind of get lost. And we think that there's a possibility that we can change the culture. And so that's kind of the premise of the discussion that we had. So I had agreed to write an outline of that we could start working from, at least have some discussion points from. And so I shared with Pete that basically have that together, wanted to try to see about getting a second conversation with he and Karen to make sure I'm tracking on the right line. I have a lot to learn from them. They're being nice, but they'll tell you that I have a lot to learn yet. But I thought the conversation went real well, and hopefully we'll have something to share with you guys real soon.
Yeah, I think that's a good point about changing the culture, because otherwise you just keep throwing money at the same old problem if you don't change the culture that contributes to it.
Absolutely.
I personally would like to thank you, Carl, for going above and beyond just participation on this board for that. Thank you.
Yeah, me
No
too.
problem.
And I'm assuming you all will just, as you usually do, will keep us informed of this as you go along.
Yes, sir.
I see we have no new business.
No, sir.
Next item is the advisory committee report. I thought I saw Bruce on there. Is Bruce out there?
Yes, sir, Chairman Schindler, I'm here. And we did not have an advisory committee meeting this month, and we chose to give the subcommittees another round of meetings to put some more meat on the bone of what we can bring back to you. And I would, I guess if available, Sandra, I believe is on the call, she can give an overview of one subcommittee's efforts, as well as, oh, help me out, I just lost the name. Greg, I believe. Is he?
Greg's right.
Yeah, I don't think Greg is on here. And I went ahead and made some bullets on these slides. So Sandra, if you're on here and you want to speak about which subcommittee, residential C&D, I
This
think.
is residential and C&D.
Yeah. So basically, what we had done at the last advisory committee meeting was to kind of go over a lot of what projects we had been working on that may align with some of the recommendations that they're working towards. So that was kind of what I went ahead and put on a slide, even though, as Bruce said, basically we're just trying to get some more meat on the bones through the subcommittee level. Sandra, did you want to share?
Actually, I think you've done a very good job. There isn't a great deal to share. We basically continued from where we were before, and we're looking at the people, the stakeholders who'd be involved in construction and demolition waste, whether or not it can be sorted, whether or not, if it can be sorted, it's economically practical, and then whether or not there's an end market, even if you can sort things into individual components. So we have a lot more to learn and a lot more to look at.
And Sandra, I agree, it's time to start reaching out to those stakeholders and getting their input as we start to move another step forward in this process.
Actually, I agree with you. That's absolutely true.
Any questions of board members or anybody else on what Bruce and Sandra have gone over? I believe you all saw a recommendation that Bob Lee sent out to board members and other parties. Bob, would you like to summarize what your concern was with that?
Yeah, thank you, Bob. Last Friday, I sent out a letter to Mr. Schindler, the chairman, in regards to stakeholder involvement. And basically, we talked about this almost a year and a half ago in an October 2019 meeting. and represented the fact that shareholders would definitely have to be involved with going forward with the program. Our chairman, Mr. Schindler, totally agreed with that concept and, basically agreed that everything needed to be vetted in order to make sure that we are getting the right information and from the right people. So I, as many times as I can, take part of the subcommittees and listening in on the conversations, and they do some very good work, quite frankly. But one thing that I noticed was that there truly hasn't been many shareholders involved in the subcommittees, and so it was a concern for me, and I thought that it would be important to bring it up. And just like Sandra and Bruce was talking about, I'm glad to hearing that there's more momentum in regards to shareholder involvement. And so I was thinking about possibly getting the 109 board involved, having a discussion during the next meeting, and possibly, if required, a motion in order to make sure that we do get shareholders involved as we go forward. But I understand that we'll be talking about this the next 109 meeting. So I'm just looking forward to hearing from all the board members and any of the audience in order to see if they agree with that concept and we should go forward with shareholder involvement, Bob.
Actually, we agree with Bob. One of the things that we've talked about is when we bring in these stakeholders, is it just going to be the subcommittee that's there and listening to their input, or do we invite everybody? And we have not taken a vote on it yet, but there seems to be a momentum to realize that it's not just us who need to learn from them. It's you and it's the other subcommittee that needs to learn too.
I would agree with you wholeheartedly, Sandra. My perspective is we can do all the work and propose ordinances and whatnot, but if we don't have the buy-in from the people who are impacted, there will either be violations or very little cooperation, and they'll end up being quite a ruckus, if you will, throughout the community. So whatever we are able to come up with has to be embraced by not only the board, subcommittees, as well as all the impacted parties for it to be a success. I would welcome all involvement from 109 board members as well as every committee member.
Bruce, this is Bob again. I would anticipate that, or would think that the way to possibly make this thing work the most would be that most of that involvement would come through the advisory board during the meetings and so forth, hopefully to attract shareholders and individuals that are interested in a specific topic before it gets to the 109 board itself. I understand, Sandra, in regards to the subcommittees and so forth, it's important to get truly their advice. But I would think with that, the same shareholder should possibly work with the advisory board in front of the 109 board if possible, in order to hear from them. So it'll be important, I think, that we hear from both parties, both the subcommittees and the advisory board.
Actually, I think that our committee in general would absolutely agree with you. And the other thing you talked about attracting them to meetings, I would hope we'd be much more proactive than that. I would hope we would invite people who've got some kind of interest in our outcomes. If we wait for people to come because we've sent them a notice by email or on their cell phone, I'm afraid that we won't get a great deal of participation.
I would agree with you, Sandra. I believe, we need to reach out to them personally and discuss the topics that we're considering and come up with a collaborative solution, because we were under the clear guidance of Chairman Schindler to have a fully vetted, I guess, initiative before bringing it back to the board for vote. So we need to do our work as advisory committee members in, finding and involving all of those shareholders.
Well, I think it'll be an interesting conversation with the 109 board next meeting. If everyone can, as many people as possible, come to the meeting and share their thoughts and enthusiasm for the initiative, I'm sure that the board members would surely appreciate it. So, looking forward to that conversation next month.
Pete, on the agenda for next month, can you put this as a subtopic under the advisory committee report?
I sure can. Stakeholder involvement.
Yeah. Any other board member questions or comments of anybody involved? Okay, thank you. We go to the staff report.
First item on the staff report is the Clean Collaborative. And want to just kind of give you guys a little bit of an update here. I've got Rob Lush. Most of you guys know him as the enforcement supervisor for us, but I'm not sure if anybody's aware that he has moved to the Clean Collaborative coordinator, if I've got that right, Rob. So he's going to kind of give you a little bit of an update as to what we have going on with the Clean Collaborative, and we can show you some of the data that we've collected. Rob, you just tell me what you want to see on the screen, and I can do that.
Yeah, I'll just go over real quick what we're looking at doing with the Clean Collaborative. There's a lot to it. Trying to find ways to improve the cleanliness level across Louisville Metro. And not just in terms of litter. That's kind of where we're starting at right now. We got to build a good solid base underneath of us, and then we can look into other things. And some of those other items are going to be, graffiti enforcement and abatement. It's going to be, the abandoned construction zones, if you want to call them, where, how often you drive down the road and you see the same orange cone set on the sidewalk for months at a time. It's going to look at the bud markings on the sidewalks and streets. So there's a lot to it. But like I said, we're looking at the litter right now. And as Pete mentioned earlier, we have a crew of 12 with one supervisor for the Clean Collaborative crew. And then with partnership with the Louisville the Waste District, with those 3 additional, that's going to be a huge help. What we've created is a website here. We've done a few things. So we got a website, it's louisvilleky.gov/cleanlou, LOU. That website's kind of our hub where we're putting our information. We want to try to be as transparent as we can with the stuff. Pulling up, Pete.
I'm having trouble getting the hub up, but I can get to the public dashboard.
Oh, that's fine. So what we've done, so this is our hub. What we want to do is make it accessible for anybody, any citizen out there that wants to know what we're doing, what our efforts are. Because how often do we hear that the city only cleans up around Derby time and that's it, and we'll never see another cleaning crew until next Derby? Well, that's not the case. Just kind of Derby's are kind of all hands on deck. So what we're trying to do is get that information to show what exactly we are doing. It's not a Derby only initiative and then it ends. This is year long. So we built this hub here, and what we're using it for is to track a lot of things. What you see in the right corner, it says Bright Side Volunteers, Street Sweeping, and Hand Collection. So we're trying to display our cleanups across Louisville Metro for anybody. And the yellow markings here Okay, we'll go with the blue right there. The blue is what we're trying to show. The blue is going to be our street sweeping. So you can go through and see where we've gone through and swept the roadways. You can click on it and see where it was, when they went through there, what day. So, and how many curb miles they've got it as. If you look at the hand collection, it's going to pull it up as a yellow. This one, it's kind of similar, but it's got a little more information to it. You click a route, you'll see what the street was, when we were there, how much we collected, when we collected it, and kind of the things I want to show you guys, show everyone. We have to try to figure out how to prioritize our routes. So we did a litter assessment. We can show you that in a moment. We did a litter assessment and rated these routes in terms of how clean they are, 1 through 4 level. 1 being, little to no litter, 4 being absolutely horrible. Once we complete a rotation, what we're going to look at is prioritizing our routes. What we know is that some routes are going to need to be hit, maybe once every 2 weeks. Some might only need to be collected once every 2 months. So we're going to look at things such as, we track the weight, we track the amount of bags that we're cleaning. One thing we're going to look at is, bags per mile. How many bags are we collecting in a mile stretch? And then we can kind of prioritize from there. And this is the map, kind of internal map that we're using to be able to track that so we can start to prioritize. But what we've seen, for example, this is just, it's not long-term data we got. It's, it's pretty short right now. But for example, on the green belt, on a 6-mile stretch back in March, we collected 110 bags of litter, 19 tires, and 110 other items. So there's a lot more than just litter that we're collecting. We can't name them all. So what we have other items is going to be, vehicle wreckage, bulky items that have been dumped, that sort of debris. So it's 110 bags, March 11. And also we have pictures. We're going to take pictures to show the crews out there working. But if you click that arrow, you can see that on the 21st of April, in a 12-mile stretch, we collected 21 bags. So that's a huge difference from the first time we went through there to the second time. It's double the miles and way less in terms of bags. So we think that this crew is going to be a huge help. We'll try to make as many rotations as possible through these routes. We're also going to track on here the interstate cleanups. State went through last March and collected, I think, about 94 tons of debris off the interstate. They started this past Monday on another litter sweep. So they're out working on the interstate and the ramps now. So far, the Clean Collaborative crew since February 24th has cleaned about 840 curb miles, I believe. Collected about 4,300 bags, close to 500 tires. So they've been out there working. We're happy with them. This information here is going to change. We're going to find that, maybe we need to display certain information instead of others. Maybe we need to, collect information that we're not currently collecting now. But what we're wanting is try to make it as efficient and quick as possible. Well, not as quick. We want to make it as efficient and effective as possible. That's what we want. So, we're pretty happy with it, and we're excited to get those additional 3 people to be out working as well. And we're also going to work with Brightside. We're partnering with them, and we're trying to get them some accounts set up where they can start inputting their cleanups in here. I think one thing that it's going to help them is they can start seeing gaps in certain parts of the county that they're not reaching to, and they can try to figure out why that is. Why don't they have, more volunteers in a certain section? How do they reach out to them? So I think it's going to be a great tool for them. And then Pete, if you want to pull up the assessment map.
Yeah, give me just a second.
While he's pulling that up, this just so directly leads back into what Karen and Carl were saying, because I don't care how efficient we get at this, we've got to change the culture or we just keep doing this forever.
Exactly. Something long-term that we're going to have to figure out, you know, and was what Karen and Carl were talking about is an education campaign. You know, something that I'm trying to get out to people is, you know, you can't rely on just the city agencies to keep it clean. You know, we need help. It can't just be one, you know, one department, one group of people to be out there. That, you know, we need everybody to make a difference. That's businesses, private citizens, government agencies. We need everybody's involvement with it, because otherwise, as you said, Bob, then we're just out cleaning up.
You know, go ahead.
I have a couple of questions.
I can't hear you, Deetra. You're
Take the location up that morning.
You
to the middle.
You are breaking up. Is she just broken up with everybody else?
yeah.
Yes.
I can't hear.
Can you hear us, Deether? You're breaking up really bad. We're hearing like maybe every third word.
Have her type it in the chat if she needs to.
Okay, while she types, okay, there, I can hear you now.
Okay, the one question that I had a couple of questions. The first question was the notification for street cleaning. The last time our street was cleaned, they put the notifications up the same morning the street cleaner came through. So that did not give the residents time to move their cars. And then with the grass cutting season starting, I do notice that a lot of companies and also residents are blowing that grass in the middle of the street. And that's not helping with, I don't like that. That's just me personally. I'll just put it like that.
No, I understand that one. Keith, you want to touch on the first issue about the notifications?
Yes, I'll look into that, Ms. Deetra. If you can send me an approximate time and when it happened, I'll look into it and get to the bottom of it so I can look back and see pictures and when they were taken to verify that and get that correction. As far as people blowing stuff out in the street, if I'm not mistaken, they are not to do that, just like they're not to do leaves like that. That's something we got to correct. I know we have an issue in Old Louisville when we
Right, and I think with our campaign that we're the education of people blowing grass in the street. I think it, you know, with this whole education thing that we're gonna do in the flyers, we need to let residents know that that's not proper to do.
point. Excellent point. Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah, Deether, to exactly what you were saying, I was going to ask Pete this after the meeting, but I'm glad you brought that up. When I was driving out to do something this morning, going down Breckenridge Lane, in front of the Kroger's at Hikes Point, there was grass all over the two northbound lanes of Breckenridge Lane, and it came from the landscape people cutting grass on the edge of the road and up into the landscaping at Kroger's. And I was going to ask Pete, we have that report a litterer set up. Would you guys be in the position that if you observe that if we or anybody observed something like that, I'm not saying you have to chase down the actual contractor, but in that case, couldn't you guys send a notification to somebody like Kroger to say, hey, you need to talk to your people that are doing this work? And that is against the ordinance, against city ordinances to blow that stuff out in the street. Would that work through your report a litterer effort?
Well, I never thought about it coming through reporter a litterer because it's more set up for people that throw stuff out of vehicles. But I don't know that we couldn't modify that to have that happen. Part of the issue with this happening is by the time that anybody could respond to see something like that, it's usually gone before you can get to it. But I can see that a simple notification to the company that owns the property where the grass is being cut may cut down on that. I think that's a good thought, and we'll look into that, Bob. I think it's a really good suggestion.
And this is a real generalization, but I think most of the times that I have observed this when it was really egregious, it was some kind of lawn and landscaping company that was doing it that had larger, more powerful mowers that could blow that stuff that far out into the street.
Well, it's a lot of citizens doing it as well, though, sir.
Oh yeah, I realize that too, but it's absolutely.
It's even worse in the fall.
Oh yeah,
leaves are coming down.
So this assessment map, this is also something we have available for the public to see. It doesn't look like it's all loading up for us right now. I know Pete was having issues with it. So the first kind of area that we looked at was, kind of the more major arterials outside, because a lot of these routes here, we were able to drive it. So you got to, with the amount of roadways that we have to assess, there's no way that we could walk them all. We know that this was one of the easier ones to go ahead and get through. So we went through it and assessed these areas as well as the CBD, the Central Business District, and we're working now on routes within the Urban Service District to do. But this right here, a citizen can come on here, kind of same as other map. You can click on any of these. The darker colors is going to be the most littered. As it gets lighter, that's going to be the least littered. And you can see how it was rated. So, for example, this section from Cane Run from Kingswood to Kramer's, it was assessed to be a 4, which is, extremely littered. Possibly, there could be illegally dumped items on there as well. And we're going to do these assessments, once we get kind of what we need built out. We're going to look at trying to do these assessments once every 3 months, so we can kind of track the progression and see what, how we're able to make changes. But as it's been said already, we can go through here and clean these as much as possible, but we also have to engage with the public and get help and assistance that way as well. So.
Just a second ago, Deidre, I didn't mean to cut you off. If I did, I jumped in there with that.
That's fine. I was done. I just wanted to ask that question and asked about the grass being blown in the street.
Yeah, and that was a good question. That's something that we've talked about before, and trying to figure out ways that we can handle that and tackle that problem. So I appreciate that.
We have a street sweeping webpage on louisvilleky.gov, and Booker reminded me, I forgot that we did it, but we added some ordinances that could be useful if a resident were either looking up information, or if you saw someone doing something and you thought, is that allowed? So it shows a little clearer info if anyone wants to look at that.
Yeah, Karen, because I think you put a picture on there, even showing somebody blowing the clippings out in the roadway.
No, I think I only have a picture of a little street sweeper, but if you have a good picture, I'd be happy to put it on there.
All right, I'll get up there.
Do you think it'd be beneficial to show the hub, or those maps are good?
I actually, Rob, I'm having troubles getting the hub to pull up for me.
I can pull it up real quick if you want to show it. Yeah.
Yeah. I will go ahead and stop sharing and you can show it, Rob. I think it's really good. I think it's what people need to see that.
Pull it up here. I got a bunch of stuff open, so I'll get there.
Yeah, the hub is through the ArcGIS website, and we got the louisvilleky.gov/cleanloo to go directly to that because this really shows all the important information.
This is going to go through changes. All of this is what the city has done in the past isn't new, and we're still continuing that. But how we're trying to display that information and try to bring groups together to improve it, that's different. And that's the same with this website. So what we've done here is we're displaying how much weight we've collected. And these figures need to update. It's changed since that's happened. As I mentioned, the crew's done 800 and something miles. But when you factor in the suburban street sweeping, the urban service district street sweeping, and paint collection, and the interstates, so far that's about 2,375 miles. We've got how many bags we've collected, 4,600, the tires. There's the other items. We've got a kind of brief description in here of what the Clean Collaborative is and how it got started. We've got a list of stakeholders in here. And that's going to grow as we continue this. As Keith has said, this isn't a sprint; it's a marathon. What we're doing, we're trying to build something sustainable, so that it can be continued. Well after we're here, we need to get a good foundation set up. So some of the stakeholders that we'll have is going to be Public Works, Brightside, Louisville Downtown Partnership. So we purchased pieces of equipment to help them collect litter downtown. They were given funding to hire people to collect litter in the downtown area on a daily basis as well. We partner with Codes and Regulations and their vacant lots crew, the waste district. We have on here the maps that we were talking about where citizens can see where and when we've collected. We got a map for litter bins in Louisville Metro. Just a picture of the crews out working. Metro TV did a good story on the group. We have that video on here if someone wanted to watch it. And then here's the assessment. It looks like it's having issues loading up on here as well. There we go. It zoomed in too close.
There it goes.
Okay. So as you can see, what's not blue is what we've assessed so far. What is blue is what we're looking to assess. USD is a different type of issue versus the suburban area because you have on-street parking and the such, and we have to figure out the best way to do that. Some areas we'd probably be able to drive, others we're definitely not to walk. But as you can see, that's a lot of mileage that's going to have to be covered. And then we kind of have how can we help report a litter laws, organize a neighborhood cleanup, right side. We got information on the pop-up drop-off, a little video. And then down here, you can just kind of see daily averages, the bags we collected, the weight we collected. And you're going to see spikes throughout here when you factor in interstate cleanups and stuff. That's why you'll see spikes throughout here. We have bags collected. So it's going to be a good source of information for the public to see. It's going to be good for, Metro Council. Anybody who wants to get on here and find out what we're doing, we have this here. So.
Hey, Rob, can I make a comment or maybe ask a question or maybe make a comment?
Yeah.
So, as I'm looking at this, first of all, I think this is awesome. But the one thing that I don't see is it's not personal. And I was thinking, could you guys put an overlay on top of your map, really light in a colored, like neighborhoods? Because people take pride in their own neighborhood. And so if you just say a street, then that's not my problem. But if you make it a neighborhood, then that's a different story, or areas like Okolona or St. Matthews, because people take pride in their areas. So maybe if there's a way that lightly behind it, where it's different colored or something like that, where you could see within an area how many streets are covered or what was going on, then that would maybe make it more personal and it can maybe help build an ambassador program about people, because people will want to see that their area is cleaner or something than another area or things like that. That could probably be a campaign could be built around it. I think could be really helpful. And then too, maybe even some of the visualization it looks like it's other people doing it, so I don't have to do it as long as you have the crews or whatever. But when you show people from the neighborhood or in other environment other than the paid folks or whatever, then it also suggests that maybe I got a responsibility too. So as you know, I'm kind of on the a little bit on the campaign side of it, but I think that's such an awesome thing you guys have done. Man, maybe if we could add another little piece that doesn't have anything to do with the information collected, but maybe if the map could be one of those that had some areas in it, we could definitely use that in terms of in messaging.
All right, yeah, I think that's a good idea. We can look into doing something like that. The issue in terms of like, if I understand, the issue with having the public be able to input stuff in here is they have to have a certain account, and once it's open, then kind of they could get in there and mess with it, you know, and such. So that's one of the issues that we run into it, getting that engagement with the public to input the stuff in here. But I certainly agree. You know, I think that's a good idea, if we can get the neighborhoods in here some way.
Rob, Carl, I know that we can add those neighborhoods. It's a layer, and it's something that can be turned on and off fairly easily. So that's something that we can definitely add. And also, I think the bright side component isn't quite there yet in this regard. And I think that's really going to kind of bring in the volunteer side, the community side as well. So, yeah, great ideas. And I agree with you wholeheartedly that we need to tie this in with the community more. And that can be part of that, our campaign.
Yeah.
Rob, I don't know if would be a place, would be a suggestion. If there would be a place somewhere in there, you could tell people how much of their tax money is going to clean up after other people or clean up after them. You know, you hear a lot of people say that they don't think government spends their money well, or they think their pet project, government should be spending more money on it. If somehow you could make at least somebody understand that, God, we probably spend $1 million a year cleaning up after people. And that's money that doesn't have to be spent. Maybe that would hit somebody in the side of the head and keep them from littering. I don't know, but.
Yeah, that's another good point. Yeah, we'll take suggestions. Like I said, this is going to change. We need to improve it. This has been in the works, and we probably make 20 updates and changes to this, you know, every 3 days. So we're happy to take those recommendations.
But just to Robert's point that, you know, if you could show that, then if a neighborhood said they wanted a park or wanted this, then one of their incentives is just be cleaner. Then there's more money available to put back in other things. So that's a great point.
You got. I'll just warn us. I hear what you're saying, but when it comes to how much is getting spent where, you can put yourself in a trap too. So we gotta be careful when it comes to putting money when it comes to this, or how much who gets what, because that's a whole set of other issues that brought up on a regular basis. That's all I'm saying. I just want us to be mindful of that.
That's
great.
Yeah, and trying to break it down the cost, like neighborhoods and stuff. I don't think that's something that we could even do. But
yeah,
overall, this is how much was spent, you know, throughout a year.
Yeah,
you know, that might be doable.
I agree with Keith. I wouldn't be in favor of pegging it to neighborhoods, because then you get into the point where somebody thinks you're treating another neighborhood better than them, and you're responding to where the litter is. So yeah, just some kind of my suggestion would have been just some kind of overall note that if you the public didn't litter, then we wouldn't be spending this money on this. It could go for another cause.
Okay, overall, that's good. Yeah.
Yeah, and we've got on here, you know, at the beginning of the year that so far this is what was allocated, was $1.5 million. That was from the beginning of the year, and that was used to hire the personnel and also purchase the equipment that we would need for them. So. Yeah, if there's any more suggestions or any questions that anybody thinks of after this, just send me over an email, and I'm more than happy to do that, and I can come and give you guys updates whenever you need it.
Okay, thanks. I don't mean to cut you off, Rob, but
No,
we
you're
are
good.
now officially over our announced time limit. So if we move on to the next items.
We run till 7:30. Or no, we run to 7.
Yeah.
Wow, time is flying. So Karen, can you quickly do pop-up drop-off?
Yeah, here's our schedule for the year. We've done 2 pop-up drop-off events. They have been very well attended, almost a little too much in March, but this past weekend we had it at Fleet. That's pictures from Saturday, rainy day. And then I did zip code maps. So that was the one at Sun Valley. Red means that's where the bulk of the people are coming from, to orange, to yellow, to green. So you can see, and then there it was at Fleet Services, more in the central part of the county, and you can still tell, you know, people are coming from all over no matter what, but the bulk of the people are kind of hovering around the location. So the next one is at Eastern High School on May 22nd. And here's our collection data. This includes the 3 we did in 2020, but you can kind of, and I can always send this out or whatever if anybody wants to see, but the pounds of items that we are collecting. Sometimes it just says yes, because we aren't able to get weights on some things like the prescription medication isn't always available, but we do our best to get as much data as we can. So that just, and we changed it this year for all the events starting in March. We did it in April. We're using a survey app. So that's how we're getting our zip code data. And we haven't done anything yet with the other data, but we're collecting what categories they brought. So we'll have an idea of what people have with them when they come, whether it's mostly document shredding, electronics, recycling, scrap metal, or the bulky waste. So moving right along, I've told you all about our Recycle Right pilot program, which is where we're tagging recycling bins. So we've completed 2 areas now. We did the Deer Park neighborhood, and we just finished the South Side neighborhood, which has quite a bit of international community. So we did translate our letter into 3 languages. And so our results are, the left side is basically red and yellow tags. If you got an oops tag, you know, we had 67% actually got oops tags out of all the people who set out recycling. But by the last time we tagged, that number really dropped. I can't see the numbers. It's 40 something. 49%. So we made improvement over 3 taggings. And the same on the right, you can see contaminants. Bagged recyclables, plastic shopping bags, and then styrofoam are our top 3 contaminants. And so the blue is showing when we first started, that's how much we saw. And then by the 3rd tagging, it drastically dropped, except for styrofoam. I don't know, they didn't get the message on that. But the Deer Park neighborhood, we actually did a 4th tagging this morning where we checked to see if it stuck. So they had already improved on all the contaminants. Basically, one kind of almost stayed the same, but they already had a pretty good group of people. We had a lot of green tags already in that area. But you can see when we came back 18 weeks later, we gave out less oops tags than even before. So we felt pretty good about that. And then I think our contaminants, is that on the next slide, Pete? Styrofoam, again, I don't know. I think people just don't get that message about styrofoam, probably because it has a recycling symbol on it. But the bagged items and the plastic bags really went down a lot. So we like what we're seeing, and we really do think that that program, you know, we're going to do a Shawnee neighborhood next, but we really are seeing the results that we want to see. So it seems to help.
Karen, if I could add right here, as part of the first budget for this year, we brought the fact that we may want to expand this program once we proved that it was working well. And we estimated a cost of about $80,000 a year. And what that would be is to hire part-time people 3 to 4 days a week for 4 hours a day to go out and do this tagging. We train them to do it. They can go out and do these taggings on a much larger scale than what we're doing, because reducing the contamination that's in these carts is essential for us to get good quality recycling and also to maintain the value of the recyclables that are there. So just because this is actually going much better than what we thought it would, we're probably gonna, just giving you a heads up, we're probably gonna be making an ask for some additional funds and people at our next meeting.
You know, I hate to throw a wet rag on this, but it just occurred to me is when households start getting those carts, I wonder if it will lead to sloppiness on people's part because they've got a lot more room to put stuff in they think is recyclable. If it'd be curious to see if the contamination rate goes up, because they may pay attention to it if they have a limited amount of space. If they have what they conceive as an unlimited amount of space, they may be less diligent. I don't know. I hope not. But
well, to your point, Bob, it has been shown that when you go to carts, you do increase your contamination rates. That is why, as part of the grant, the grantee, the recycling partnership, wanted to ensure that we had some kind of a contamination campaign, anti-contamination campaign going on.
okay.
And we were already doing this. So yeah. I think working and expanding this program as these carts go out will definitely help us keep that contamination rate down.
Well, and another way to assess it would be if you've already done this in a neighborhood and you saw a drop in contamination prior to the carts coming out. And then when the carts come out, if the contamination rate doesn't increase, then that tells you your tagging effort was worth the effort.
That's a good point. That's a very good point. So we'll keep you guys up to date on this and where we're heading.
Pete?
Can I ask a question, Bob?
Yeah.
So is these part-time 3 or 4 day a week, 4 hours a day people, are they just going to be doing this in the urban service district?
Absolutely not. It's something that Karen and I talked earlier about. We want this show to go on the road for sure. Anywhere and everywhere that we can do this and that we're welcome to do it, we want to be able to do it.
And I'd be willing to pilot in a home rule city, or, you know, if someone were interested, we could do a pilot too there just with us before we get going with the big thing.
Pete, could we put a sticker on the carts as we roll them out, showing what items go and don't go?
There is a packet that will go with every cart that will give this information, as well as, you know, yes, it's going to be very well documented. Part of the grant was for $4 per cart for education. So it's going to be in mailings, and it's also going to be a packet that goes along with that cart.
Perhaps you should contact the League of, Karen, you were talking about, you know, going in with one of the small cities or more. Perhaps you should contact the League of Cities, because it would be ultimately to their benefit if they can cut down contamination. That could result in their waste hauler offering a better recycling price.
Well, Bob, of course, I represent the League of Cities on this board, so I would be happy to do that.
Okay, thank you.
We can touch base.
I think we also need to ask somebody like Bruce or who does recycling, or Bob, would you all, you know, participate as well? If we want to do a route or two of yours, and, you know, even unincorporated area, because it's important that we do all areas in our system, whether it's urban service district, whether it's a small city, and there are some unincorporated areas. And I think we also need to buy in of our waste haulers as well for us to be able to do that, with their residents. Would you all be willing to participate as well?
Yeah, yeah.
Keith,
Yes.
I'm sure we would be willing to work with the city. Anything to help clean up our recycling routes is welcome. We've worked with the group that is funding this in different cities. So absolutely, we would be involved.
Excellent. That's good to hear. We got all the major players in this. Great. All the stakeholders. There you go. All the stakeholders are on board. Thank you all.
I wanted to just share quickly about our No Waste Ambassador program. We have our grant that we received to stock a resource library. So we've been shopping, and we had 13 go through the program. 10 seem to be still remaining active. They all had the opportunity to tour West Rock just last week, and we're going to tour Smith Creek as well next month. And we're offering volunteer opportunities, and we've had response. People like helping us with those taggings, the Oops Tag program. And we already have signups for our first event, outreach event, the Festival of Flowers in Beachmont neighborhood. We already have people signed up to help us with that. So we're really excited to allow them we already allowed them the opportunity to go through learnings about the program, about waste and recycling in Louisville, and now they're going to have the opportunity to help us with our programs. So it's a win-win.
So the next item on the agenda, it's a little out of place because we'll be coming back to Karen, but just to give you guys an update on the Ralph Avenue void disposal. If you remember in the last meeting, we discussed that they had some underground fires going on, and just wanted to kind of give you an update. So closure of cell 2 is nearly complete. With only thing that has to be done is topsoil and seeding. They've been able to reduce the number of people getting on the site with increased 24-hour security. They have had no smoke observed for 3 weeks. They're going to do another drone flyover with an infrared scan for hot spots in May, but things are going really well. Another thing that they're doing is they're laying down a shingle layer that would keep people from digging through to get to the metal. So it would be a way for us to try to prevent that in the future. Air monitoring still continues for volatile organic compounds and particulates, and they've had nothing of concern. Most of everything they picked up was actually from people burning trash when we found out that they did not have trash service. So those individuals were cited, and they are getting their trash service. So it's been going so well that the DEP, Department of Environmental Protection, is reducing their visits from every day to a couple times per week. So it seems as though that the underground fires are under control, hopefully extinguished. We can continue on and get that location closed out properly.
Okay, does that complete? Go ahead. Does that complete our business, or do we have?
Let's see.
Is there anybody who may have been participating in this meeting in the audience that might have a question or comment?
I think it is.
All right, I guess that takes care of the meeting. Thanks everybody, board members, for attending, and thanks Karen, Rob, and Pete for your reports. Can I have a motion to adjourn? Leave.
You don't want to go.
Make a motion, we adjourn the meeting.
Okay, we have a motion to adjourn, and we'll assume a second. Thank you all very much. Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Fun.
See you all next week, next month.